Welcome to the Bread and Bars podcast. I'm your host, Sean, and we are back with our 7th episode. I can't believe it. We're already at episode 7. It took a while, but we're here. And I'm very grateful for this because 7 is actually one of my favorite number. If you know me, anything about me, or as you're learning me, you'll learn that 7 is one of my favorite numbers for various reasons. But we're at episode number 7. And this one is going to be a banger just like the other ones were. So I want to ask you a question. Where or what are you actually living? Today's episode is going to be about going beyond signposting. Signposting, I'm sure you heard of it. Signposting, if you haven't, signposting is basically a sign that points to a particular direction. So if you're driving on the street and you're trying to get to the major highway, you'll see signs pointing to that particular highway or to the hospital. Every city pretty much has a sign that shows you a big H that shows you where the hospital is, or a sign to the highway, or a sign to a train station, or a sign to a building, whatever the case may be. Now, I want you to equate that to where you are in your journey, whether that's a spiritual journey you have, whether that's an entrepreneurial journey that you have, whether that's trying to enhance your love life, whatever your journey is, we all succumb to signs or signposting. The reason why I say signposting and not signs is because what happens is we'll see a sign or we'll hear a sign. And I'm not talking about any woo-woo things, but then again, I'm not limiting things from that. We'll have a sign of something, whether it be spiritually or in a relationship, and we'll attach to that particular word, right? But we won't go beyond that. What happens is we allow our language to become our limitations. Now, you know, the Bread and Bars podcast is about having dope conversations with dope people. And the main point is to remove the limitations that keep you from being the best version of yourself or going above and beyond for your own life. You know, because we'll do it for our jobs, we'll do it for our, other people. But this is all about going above and beyond for ourselves here at the Bread and Bars podcast, right? So we see these signs that says, hey, this sign will take you to God, or this sign will get you closer to God, or this particular practice will get you closer to God, or this will get you closer to making that amount of money. What happens is we have mastered the language of the journey. But then what happens is we're staggered in the actual journey itself. Imagine walking and you see a sign that says, hey, this is where you go when you want to go to the bathroom, right? But instead of actually going into the bathroom, you stop at the sign that shows you this is the men's bathroom, or this is the women's bathroom, or the unisex bathroom, or the family bathroom. But you stop right there. What will happen if you really had to go to the bathroom? Those that really, really have to go somewhere, what happens is they go beyond the signs. Now, you might think, Sean, I'm not stupid. If I have to go to the bathroom, obviously I'm going beyond the signs. I gave you that example to simplify what we're actually doing in our everyday lives. We would actually get the idea to say, hey, if you want to be an entrepreneur, these are the things that you have to do. These are the things that you have to work through. But what happens is we lose focus because we're so focused on the language of being an entrepreneur, or we're so focused on the language of the biggest thing actually is the language of manifesting the things that we desire the most in our lives. How do I know that? I bet you if I was to reach through this camera and I was to go into your house or wherever you are, or somewhere in your house, if you're the type of person that believes in, I'm going to do certain things this year, 2025, I'm going to manifest these things and I'm going to acquire these things. And this is who I'm going to be in this season and in this time. I can guarantee you almost that I know something about you, that you have a list of goals and or affirmations somewhere in your house, whether you have it written down on a journal, right? You might actually have, like I do, you have a vision board hung up somewhere, or I have a digital version. Actually, my vision board is in my phone, right? And sometimes we'll have affirmations in our phone. I use Chat GPT a lot. And I write down affirmations that it gives me and ideas and things like that. But what happens is after weeks go by, nothing's being manifested. Now you're waking up every morning, you're telling yourself, hey, you are amazing, you are awesome, and I love you, or you're saying, I have this, I am this. You're saying these things and it sounds really good, right? Or you might actually be in a church and say, oh, God is good, God is amazing, and we're giving him the highest praise, right? Or we're saying things that are really signposts, but where we're missing the point is the fact that we're not embodying these things. What I mean by that, we're not going beyond the signpost. And I can understand it because it's societal. That's pretty much what we're trained to do. We are trained to watch this, get out of your feelings, right? The way you actually learn something or the way you actually experience a thing is through how you feel, right? If I tell you that, man, I was setting up everything for my podcast this morning or this afternoon, and I hit my finger on the table and I cut myself. You're like, okay, no big deal, right? But if you realize how much pain was associated with that, your reaction would be a little bit different. The interaction, I would say, would be a little bit different. So that's the thing that I found out that we're missing from our everyday life as far as the language that we're speaking is that we're not embodying these experiences. Right. I'm going to quote the Bible. The Bible says, speak those things that be not as though they were. Now, if you go a little bit deeper, now that's the word. Now the word itself is powerful. I don't want to get it twisted and thinking make you think that the word isn't powerful because the sign is definitely powerful because there's no way you're going to get to 95 without a sign telling you how to get to 95, especially in a city that you've never been in, right? I-95 is the city that is the main highway and where I live down here in Florida. So if you don't have a sign to show you how to get to the hospital, you'll never get there. So I'm not saying that the word itself is not important. But what I'm saying is we have to get to the point where we're going beyond the actual words that are spoken. We're not allowing the language to be our limitation. We're not allowing just the idea of the thing to be the thing itself. Now you sound real good, right? And let me tell you, I'll be honest with you, based on my experience, by saying these things, it does affect your life in a certain way. It does affect you to the point where you do start to feel a little bit different, right? But I want you to go a little bit deeper. I want you to think about going a little bit deeper. And the way you do that is the way you can practice going beyond the sign posting of the life that you're trying to live or the direction in which you're trying to go. Imagine trying to explain to somebody who was blind from birth what a tree is. You can't tell them that a tree is tall because in their perspective, they don't know what tall is, right? They might have heard things like, okay, tall means it's above you. So if you see something that's a tree, you're like, okay, but you don't really understand how much taller that tree is. You really can't embody what that is. I'm exposed one of the biggest scammers there is, and his name is Stevie Wonder, right? Stevie Wonder was somebody that was blind from birth. And Stevie Wonder, if you listen to some of his songs, you're like, there's no way that he can describe how beautiful his daughter is with the song Isn't She Lovely if he's blind. Like, how can you? I mean, I'm sure he had people helping him out with the lyrics and everything like that, but to sing it in that way, he had to go beyond just the words of what beauty is. Now, mind you, he could not see his daughter, but when he sings the songs, Isn't She Lovely? He's singing a song about this girl that you can obviously tell is just a beautiful being. Now that had to be something that Stevie felt on the inside of him, deep inside of him. He had to feel this girl is beautiful. This child is beautiful. Now I don't know if he had other children, but I would feel the way if I was his son and he didn't sing a song, hey, isn't he lovely? Because heck, she ain't even all that if you ask me. No, I'm kidding. No, but if we take that for an example, Stevie couldn't see anything, but he felt it in so much that that song has become iconic. Not necessarily, I don't think, because the lyrics themselves are so amazing, right? Because if Lionel Richie sang that song, you probably wouldn't think it's that awesome, right? But because it's Stevie Wonder, you know that this man is blind and he's singing, he's being very descriptive about how beautiful something is. Not only is he descriptive, but he has a lot of feeling behind that word, behind those words, I would say. He went beyond the signpost. Now, what would happen if we weren't afraid to go beyond the signpost? Now, I'm going to step on some toes with this here because when we're in the church, right, when we're talking about our spiritual growth, a lot of people get so caught up on just the word God or Jehovah or Yahweh or Elohim, whatever the names are that you can come up with them, right? The reason why in some cultures God has so many names is because he's everything. Do you know what it feels like to experience everything? But what happens with as human beings, we're programmed to label things. We're programmed to see something and we want to put it in a little box so that it stays within our comprehension and we label it, right? For example, pet owners. You can say that you have a dog or you have a cat, but the person that has that pet, oh, that's not my dog, that's not my cat, that's family, right? Even though this dog or this cat or this bird or this frog, whatever the pet is, never speaks a word in English that we can speak or whatever your language is. But for some reason, that animal or that again, I don't even want to put it in words because there's so much that that loved one can be. Speaking of love, when we talk about loving someone, when we talk about loving ourselves, it's real easy to get there and say, you know, you're with somebody that you love. You say, you know what? You look them in the eye, you're like, listen, I really love you. And I want you to know that I want to be with you for the rest of my life. And there's nothing that I want more than you. You are beautiful to me. You are amazing to me. And I really love you. And I just want you to know that. Right? You notice how my voice dropped the octave and I got real smooth there. So we do these things because we are hoping that our words will convey the message. But in truth, it's not our words that convey the message. It's our actions. We hear that love is an action word and we just, we take it with a grain of salt, but it actually is an action word because it's more than just what you do with your hands and with your body. It's also about what you do with your heart. It's about how you actually feel. And that's what actually moves the needle. When we're talking about manifesting things and bringing things into our lives, what moves the needle is not the words that we speak, because we can say, I am rich 1,000,000,000 times, but we won't make a dollar more than we're making if we're not actually really moving the needle. And the way you move that needle is you actually have to feel it. Now, this is something that I thought about and I kind of struggled with it for a very long time up until recently. I always heard or I read a book by Neville Goddard, and he has a book called Feeling is the Secret. And the basically what he's saying in the book is you have your affirmations, you have your declarations, you have all of those things, but what the difference is you have to feel what that thing is like before you have it. Now, for a very long time, I've always wanted to, be able to quit my 9 to 5 job and become an entrepreneur. Right now, it's in trading, podcasting, and a few other things. So, what I would do is I would act like you have those things every morning. So, I thought about it. I said, well, if I did have the things that I want, if I was a full time trader, podcaster, or whatever else, I wouldn't be going to work in the morning. But that's not correct, right? Because if I did, going to work right now is how I make my money, right? So if I take the idea of just not going to work, that's not the embodiment of being a full-time whatever it is I want to be. Because being a full-time whatever I want to be means I wake up with a joy with a passion, with a determination to do the thing that's sustaining my life. And I have that same joy I would have if I was a full-time trader. I would take that feeling of inspiration, of joy, of I'm going to have great ideas today and everything's going to be great today. I take that into my day. So what happens is when I now have that feeling, I get used to having that feeling. I no longer become anxious and how long it's going to take for me to get that thing that I want because I already have established the feeling itself. Because if we're being honest, that's really what we want is the feeling of whatever that thing is more than the thing itself. It's the feeling that we really want, whether it be the feeling of winning the lottery, the feeling of finding the love of your life, the feeling of being able to quit your job, fire your boss, curse them out, doing whatever it is. That feeling of freedom is what we're really going after. So if we can figure out a way to get in our feelings, actually, instead of getting out of them, if we can get in our feelings, we'll begin to move the needle. We'll begin to go past the signs, the sign posting, and then we'll start to see some changes happen in our lives. Now, that's huge. That's huge because oftentimes it's very common for us as a society, as people, to just stay at signs, right? I was having a conversation with ChatGPT the other day, and it asked me, well, what will freedom look like to you? And I thought about it and I said, well, I really don't know because all I've known is signposting. So as I'm talking to you today, I'm not coming to you as some guru and going past signposting. I'm learning myself. So there's a lot that I don't know, but I do know the doorway is there. I'm pretty much at the doorway. As a matter of fact, the signs will bring you to the door. Whatever it is that you're doing, the signs itself, the words will bring you to the door. The words that you speak, whether they're words of faith, whether they're words of spirituality, whether they're words of affirmations, whether they're words of whatever they are, they'll bring you to the door. Because watch this. Let's say, for example, you have an idea that you want to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to use that because, or you want to have $1 million or $1 billion, right? You'll have it in your mind, right? You're thinking about having $1 billion. Okay, that's fine. You're speaking as a billionaire speaks. Okay, that's fine. But what happens is you're now at the door. What's keeping you from walking in the door? Right here, right? You don't actually feel as if you deserve it. You don't feel as if it's possible for you. Now, what happens is you have some misconnection between your mind and your heart, between your thoughts and your feelings. And as long as that connection is severed, you're going to stay at the door for the rest of your life. And you're going to say, "Oh, this mumbo jumbo of affirmations don't work. This mumble jumble of going to church don't work. This mumble jumble of the love there, it don't work." You're going to say nothing works because you have it in your mind. You might even be able to speak it, but nothing else is going to work unless it actually is in the way you feel. Now that's something that does not lie. The Bible tells us, and again, I'm not preaching to you guys. The Bible tells us that God is not a man that he should lie. The reason why is because oftentimes God doesn't need to speak to us in words. Divinity does not need to speak to us in words. The highest power that there is does not need to come down to our level and speak language of limitation. If you've ever had a divine experience, or if you've ever had an experience that changed your life, I can guarantee you with almost 100% certainty, the thing that moved you was how you felt about it, was what you really felt. It's not what somebody told you. That might have started the journey, but it's really how you felt. Now, again, I don't want you to think that I'm saying that words don't have power, because they do. But words is only the beginning of the journey, or it kind of helps you along the journey. The purpose of words spoken is to give you an understanding of the journey. So that way, as you're going through the journey and you're going through the twists and turns of whatever journey that you're trying to have, as you're going through this journey, these words that you have will help you give an understanding of the journey, right? So as you're going through the curves and the hills, you're going up and down and you're going around different things, you're getting an understanding of the journey. Because watch this, there's going to be times in every journey that there's going to be darkness. And it's going to be what you feel that gets you through those darkness. Because there's going to be times in that darkness where it's going to be silence and darkness. And that's one of the most scariest things that you can experience, because you're in so much uncertainty through that darkness and through that silence, because you're like, am I going the right direction? Watch this. You got another set of words that are speaking against your journey. But the whole purpose of having understanding of that journey in the beginning is so that nothing can shake you. As long as you have that feeling on the inside of what that journey is all about, you have a conviction inside of you of what that journey is. It does not matter. Write your journey in the comments. Whatever your journey is, I promise you, once you have that conviction, can't nothing shake you from your journey. Nothing will shake you from your journey. Right? Now, what happens is we oftentimes might have to find somebody to partner with us in our journey. But most importantly, it's a journey that we take on our own. And that journey might be a journey of 1,000 steps, 1,000 seconds, or 1,000 miles, or 10,000 miles. But the whole purpose of the words that you speak and the words that you get from divinity, or the words that you get from another version of yourself, right? A future version of yourself. The words that you get there is to help you understand the journey. If you were to think about, nowadays they don't do this, but I got a visualization of the word freedom, right? And if you write the word freedom in cursive language, what happens is you can look at that word as a path. And as long as you're following that path, you kind of get to understand of the different curves and things like that it's going through as it's writing out the word freedom. Imagine whatever your path is, you might have one, you might have several. Whatever your path is, I want you to think about you traveling through that path as if you're writing the word itself, right? Now, that's where the power of the word is, right? But even after the end of the word, you still have more of a journey to go. But because you're so familiar now with the journey or with the path and how it turns, sometimes it makes sharp turns, sometimes it makes dull turns, you'll get a better understanding of it, right? And the word will become a light to your path. The word cannot walk the path for you. The map shows you the path, but the map cannot walk the path for you. You have to walk the path yourself. The way you do that is when you have an understanding of the word, you have an understanding of the path, you have an understanding of the destination, if there is a destination. Because oftentimes the journeys that are worth the most don't have a destination. It's a continuous journey. When we're talking about healing, inner healing from trauma from your past, that's a journey that you're walking throughout the rest of your life. You're spending the rest of your life healing from the things that happened in your past. You're spending the rest of your life on a journey of self-love. We're going to get into that in another episode where we're going to talk immensely about self-love, and I'm excited about that one too. Right? So I want you to get in your mind whatever your journey or journeys are today. And I want you to think about, what is it going to feel like to be in that position when you're there? What does it feel like to be healed? What does it feel like to be secure? Right? We're not looking for money. I promise you that. We're not looking for money. We're looking for the things that money buys us. We're looking for the feeling of having a house, a home that's ours that can't be taken away from us. Right? We're not looking so much for a partner, But we're looking for someone that will lift us when we don't feel like ourselves, right? What would that feel like to have that kind of support from anyone, right? So I want you to think about the word of your journey or journeys, whatever it is. Whatever your journey is, there's no limitation to it. Your journey is your journey. I'm going to encourage you to continue on and travel that journey, right? And if you've only been speaking words, I'm going to challenge you to make the first step today by thinking about or trying to associate the feeling of what that journey will feel like. To feel like, not what it looks like, not what it sounds like, but what it actually feels like. As a matter of fact, correction. I want you to use every last one of your senses. When you think about that journey, when you think about your journeys, I want you to make it sensory. I want you to think about, what does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? I want you to use all of your senses, and I want you to stay in that for a moment. Stay in it for as long as you possibly can, especially before you go to sleep at night and when you wake up in the morning, right? This podcast is going to post about 7 o'clock in the morning. So before you watch this, I can't say before you watch it, or after you watch this podcast, the sun is probably just now coming up. I want you to embody that feeling of the journey that you have, so we can get beyond the words. I want you to get beyond the sign of this is where the highway is, and I want you to get on that highway, which is going to bring you to your journey. Get on that highway and punch it, right? Just get that adrenaline rush of what that feels like. Now, here's the thing. It's not always going to feel exciting all the time. So this is why I want you to think. Don't just think about what it's going to be like to accumulate the thing, but think about what it's going to feel like to actually have it on a regular basis, right? When you get something new, naturally you're excited about it, right? Because it's brand new. I don't want you to get caught up in that. I want you to get caught up in what it feels like continuously to have this thing. Like, this is something that's yours. Because what happens is you're telling yourself and you're reminding yourself that this is who I now am, right? Because we don't get the things that we want. We get the things that we are. So as you're embodying this journey, as you're embodying this idea, it's because you're making it a part of who you are. Anyway, that's my time. I want to thank you guys for watching another episode of the Bread and Bars podcast. This was great. I want to see you like, comment, subscribe, leave comments in the notes, share this, leave notes or leave comments in the comment section. Share this wherever you share cool things, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook. Text it to somebody that would be inspired by it. Again, I want to thank you guys for watching. We've been a little bit over our time, but we had a good time today. I want to thank you all for watching another episode of the Bread and Bars podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. You guys have a great one. It's been a pleasure.